Welcome everyone to the November 2020 edition of the Now What Global Gathering and Gift Economy. I'm Ben Roberts. I'm the lead convener and host of this gathering, but I have lots and lots of help and support, especially this time around. I'm really excited to have Dunya Seme and Stephanie Mines with me co-hosting this call.
Welcome everyone. I'm very grateful to be here. I attended my first Now What last spring, and I never thought that I would be co-hosting the opening of this edition. And I think it speaks to Now What and the community and how emergent and beautiful the opportunities and the possibilities that arise. And it's been such a beautiful learning journey for me to be able to share these moments and to prepare this call. And it's been all, I'm all day today, I was just smiling, and I'm very grateful for that. So I'm looking forward for this journey and for this opening today.
Welcome everyone. It's an incredible thrill to be with you. I'm Stephanie Mines. I'm the founder of Climate Change and Consciousness and the TAR approach for the resolution of shock and trauma. And I am just heart wide open at this moment, seeing all of you, those from Climate Change and Consciousness and those who I haven't met, and feeling the heart opening that honors the Indigenous voices, the Indigenous heart that connects us all together and awakens the spirit of faith and hope that really is so profoundly needed today and going forward into the world that we intend for the future of humanity. We are the bridge builders, and honoring the First Nations people is essential in that bridge building, primary, as it should be. So a beautiful way to launch this iteration of Now What. I'm overjoyed to be partnering with Ben, who has accompanied the birth of Climate Change and Consciousness from early on, and Dunya, a wonderful sister love, who is actually right now in Norway, one of the places where there is a Climate Change and Consciousness hub, and where we are linked through many of our members and the members that started Walking the Land. That is the link with the incredible Mama Visalela, who you'll be meeting shortly.
Yeah, just a quick overview of how we'll be spending our time together. Not quite almost 2 hours now that we're a few minutes into it to go. The first roughly hour of our time will be in ceremony led by 4 women with Indigenous ancestry and carriers of Indigenous traditions in honor of what is increasingly being known here in the United States as Indigenous Peoples Day, and now as Original Nations Day across the Americas, I'm learning. And so we'll have 2 parts to that. The first with led by Lily Rakia Chandler, who I'll introduce in just a minute, who'll be offering the words before all else, the traditional address for or ceremony that begins all gatherings of the 6 nations of the Haudenosaunee people. And then we'll have 3 generations of Namibian women leading us in ceremony from that part of the world and taking us back to all of our original roots in the mother continent of Africa. Then we're going to be entering into some kind of emergent space for the second hour of our time together, and we're not quite sure what that will be, so we'll take a little break and have a huddle on the side while our group of leaders figures out what will happen next. But it will be I think, participatory and interactive in some way and co-creative. And we'll close with a little bit of information about now what and what to expect and where we go from here, including the opportunity to linger beyond the 2 hours for people who want to ask some questions and things. So I think that's pretty much our flow. Anything else you want to add, Dunya or Stephanie, before I introduce Lily Rakia?
I think that's good.
All right. Well, I'm so excited that that Lily Rakia Chandler will be doing this with us. I met her through an initiative I'm a part of that's based in Massachusetts. I'm in Newtown, Connecticut, a little south of there, but it's one of a set of bioregional regenerative communities collaboratives that's being organized around the world by the Regenerative Communities Network, and she's been participating in sort of the early emergence of that initiative in the Connecticut River Valley in Massachusetts, where she lives. But she has ancestors from almost every continent, and her life's work has been navigating the many nuanced ways oppression affects people. With building bridges at the Great Falls, a native-led social justice collective, Lily Rakia has served as cross-cultural convener and youth mentor, co-leading several decolonization workshops. Recent projects include facilitating workshops on dismantling white supremacy and leading solidarity groups for Loretta Ross courses, White Supremacy in the Trump Era, and Calling in the Calling Out culture. In her free time, she enjoys studying her native language, Mohawk, making plant medicine, singing, drumming, and her son, Raphael. And I can't think of a better way to begin practicing the art of being fully human in a time of crisis than to welcome Lily Rakia Chandler.
Ben, great thanks. Great thanks. Now what? And all of the organizers. Greetings, love, respect, and honor to all of you who are joining us here today in a balanced way. I hope you are well. And it's gonna go a great peace to you all. So when I was asked to join this beautiful circle of women, of Indigenous women, I was so honored. And in response to the question, now what, amongst all that is happening in the world, how do we come to this with a human response? I turned to the teachings of my elders, who in many different traditions that I am a part of often say, give thanks. Notice what's still going well. Notice what's still intact. And what's still intact is actually many things. The sun is still raising every morning. Our eldest brother, the sun, and our grandmother, the moon, is still making the tides go and the women's wombs work so that new children are born. And the plants are still growing and the animals so we can eat. And so in one of my traditions, the Haudenosaunee has been mentioned, Ganikahalga, people of the Flint, or the Herkimer, the Mohawk people. We start every meeting and every ceremony and every gathering with the Ahandu Gariwadekwa, which literally means the words before all else, where we give love, thanks, honor, and respect in a balanced way to all of these beings, and remembering our interconnectedness, and how blessed we are, how grateful we are to be alive, and what a miracle it is that that's still happening despite all of the human drama in the world that's really interrupting that. We still have it. It's still happening. And so I'm going to share these words with you, and just to give you a sense of what we're doing. We're actually, noticing and honoring that connection between each parts of creation, all of our relatives. And we're starting with the innermost part of ourselves, the human beings, the humanity within each of us, within all of us. And from there, we go to our mother, the earth. And I'm going to be saying this in Mohawk, so I'm just giving you a little overview. We go to the sacred waters and the fishes and the roots and the plants and the animals, all the way up the trees, the birds, up to the four winds, the the thunder beings, our grandmother, the moon, the sun, and we're stacking up our love. Each time we make that connection with those beings, we're stacking up our love until it comes all the way up to the creator and it comes back to us. So it makes a full cycle, and we're putting our love together from all these places we are in the world right now. And it really creates quite an amazing spiritual technology, I like to think of it as, to connect us to each other and to the more than human world. There's one part that repeats a lot. So I'm gonna type it into the chat, and even though we'll be muted, you won't be able to hear each other, so you can sing however you sing, don't worry about it. But you can join in with the humming part. There'll be a part, and then you can also join in with this line. Eto, don't autocorrect me now. Nigun. I'm not gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna spell it more the way that you would say it than the way we spell it. Eto, nigun, hak, ne, wat, nigun. Don't autocorrect. Ra. And what that means, eto nigun hak niguat nigura, is it means, and now our minds are one, or even and now our hearts are one. So every time we give thanks to one part of creation, one of our relatives, then we can say together, and now our hearts are one. And that just sort of helps you participate. But if you're one of those people who really just likes to let it wash over you, soak it in, maybe at least you'll hum for the humming part. So yeah, here we go. gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that God on us you God no oh great is you Sunny gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that oh gee down Sunny gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that yet in the Turning gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that yet is a toggle radi wera. Turning gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that yet is sota santa neka karagwa. Tony gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in new where I do that you know I knew where I do that you know I see ya keneka taragwa. Tony gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in you where I don't let your Jesus quaronio. Gitaron yage, no Jesus. Turning gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in you where I do that Jungia Daleas Sunny gon hak ne gwani gora. Yet in you where I do that you know I knew where I do that so why so no radi chakwa sa oh yeah Sunny gon hak ne gwani gora. Bonato iore wagandere wakweli Toga oh teno sunge nigo Ize ekine aze watundero dane so. Nigun hak negwat negora. Now our minds are one. Just take a moment to notice what that feels like to be connected, to be in mindful, present awareness of your connection to all beings, to all human beings, all more than human beings. So easy amongst the colonized world to forget that we're never alone. No matter how bad it gets with the pandemic, with genocide, with oppression, they can't They can't disconnect us because that's who we are. Children of our mother, the earth. And that's our birthright. That's our original instructions to be in this way. And so now I want to invite you to type into the chat if there's things in particular you're grateful for, even if I already said it in Mohawk, that's okay. And just sharing this gratitude practice of noticing your connection through gratitude, through love, honor, respect, in a balanced way. We don't need to praise things and we don't need to be praised. We can be connected in equilibrium, you know. So somebody asked something. The translation. Oh, yeah. Wonderful. Thanks, Ben. So on it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's giving love, thanks, honor, respect in a balanced way to all the parts of creation that make life possible for us. So I invite you to type into the chat things that you're feeling grateful for. It could be a part of the human world, a part of the more than human world, or anything that you're feeling connected to or want to feel more connected to this morning. And even if a few people want to unmute and speak their heart, I would also welcome that. It's really important for us to remember that, you know, we all do our part and we all matter to the great cycle of things, you know. So we were all once indigenous to somewhere. Jennifer says, I'm grateful for the sacred lands of the Abenaki past and living where I work, live, and love. I'm on Abenaki territory too right now. Oh, there's so many good ones. Hello. Oh, I think I went up in the feed. Okay, let's see. Jennifer, oh, Claire says, I'm feeling grateful for Greece being my sunshine and showers, as well as new friends and coming together here with old friends. For maples, oaks, and birches who regale my days with their resplendent colors. Oh, I think I hear Yeah, I'll read a few more of these then. Chris says, I have gratitude for the health and safety of friends and family, especially my daughter and her family who moved to the beautiful big island of Hawaii this weekend. Safe journey to them. Grateful for music and for this intentional emergent gathering, says Rick. Haneli says, I'm grateful for all that is. Ben says, I'm grateful for all the people who are showing up today and over this coming 6 weeks to practice the art of being fully human in these times of crisis. Yes, so important. Leslie, grateful for so many beautiful trees, redwood, fir, madrone, oak. Am I that right? Lisa, my roots in Italia and the Italio-Americani who are working and contributing to our collective regenerative evolution. Yes. Charles says, I'm thankful for the osprey that called out and blessed me with their presence, her presence as his presence as I paddled in my mom's canoe this morning before coming to work. Beautiful. So many gratitudes. Peter says, gratitude for interconnectivity. Christina says, I'm grateful for my good health and the power of my brain, mind, and heart, and for the people I meet here. Tina, I'm grateful for the awareness of our independence as witness in this gathering. Michelle says, gratefulness and for this living moment of loving connectivity. And Sarah says, grateful for trees, plants, sacred lands of the Cherokee and the Appalachian Mountains, now seeing buffalo mountain through the trees. Ben says, cats and dogs. Oh yeah, I got my cats right here too. I'm grateful. Yeah. All right, and so much more. Stephanie, grateful to be in community. Oh, the beauty of Portugal. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that because there's so much more beautiful sharings to come. But again, a great thanks to all of you for showing up and to do this work. And thank you to Dunya and Ben and Stephanie for organizing and inviting me in. And Skanagoa, great peace to you all.
Thank you so much, Lilivakia. What a lovely way to begin. The words before all else, indeed. Stephanie, would you like to help us transition into the next piece?
Sure. And thank you, Lily Rakia, for that grounding, resonant voice that so initiates. It was the song of initiation as I experienced it, the song of beginning. And the sense of beginning in itself feels appropriate for this day. When Ben so generously opened up the space for people to consider how to launch this iteration of Now What, it came through very strong for me, through my body, that we should focus on initiating with the voices of Indigenous women. And how wonderful for me, for Ben and Dunya to immediately resonate with that somatic statement that just spoke itself from my body. The feeling of community as they felt exactly what I felt. And here it is again, now manifest. That in itself is great joy to me. As soon as that clear somatic guidance presented itself, the names of different Indigenous women who I know presented themselves. And one of the first was Mama Visalela. In the center of climate change and consciousness, there was a moment of transformational grief that descended upon the entire community. The death of Polly Higgins, the incredible lawyer who developed the understanding of ecocide and why the awareness of ecocide has to be recognized and legal action taken to prevent it. When Polly's death was announced, I personally descended into a great hole of grief. And the person who pulled me out of that hole, a woman I really didn't know very well, was Mama Visalela. She met me at the bottom of a well of grief so big it eliminated my capacity to see. It took me to another dimension. And she pulled me out of that hole with such grace and soothing songs and touch. And as a result of that, I began to see that Polly's death was not a loss, it was a distribution of her energy. That transformational grief was imparted and made clear to me by Mama Visalela. And with that, she has many other ways in which she could be introduced, but I'm going to allow that story to be my introduction to Mama Visalela, her daughter, and her granddaughters.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope we are audible. I hope we are audible and that you can hear us. Okay. So we are going to start. Welcome. Where to Abon Huatue, where to Abon Huatue, where Abon Huatue, where Abon Huatue. Okay, kobale, 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 kobale. Where to Nisupaya. Where to Abon Huatue. Where to Abon Huatue.
Welcome.
Oh, Badere, di Umahe, Uri Unkoto, di Umahe, Ai kwe. Di unwa ye. Uwe. Uri nkoko. Di unwa se kumatiko. Aye uwe. Aye uwe. Oh, it's mata kumbo. Happy uwe.
Ay, wara caseta po. Nabaha.
Aye, oh,
Oh,
Abita uwe.
Sita.
Aye, uwe.
Antu.
Aye,
Ay, nabaha da po. Nabaha da po. Semua tahu pada rasa kabisina. Kabisina dah. Oh hai. 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 Gaitos bisolelas. Au mas tiramies. Au mas hadako. Ai betriu e kau e. Gaitos oh hai gida da gans da mi. Gans. Gaitos. Gaitos de será duro eimu.
we see them first.
Gaitos de será eimu.
We see our great mothers first.
Gaitos de será eimu.
Aye, aye.
Gaitos de será eimu. Gaitos de será eimu. Ai gaitos de será eimu. Ai neti matita. Gaitos de será
Kobare, 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 kobare,
I
kobare.
let matita. Gaitos de será eimu. I neti matita. Gaitos de será eimu.
Matita, I neti matita, neti matita, kobare, kobare, neti matita, I want, I now want, I neti matita. I neti matita.
I see them before us. I hear them before us. I say to Dara, Matingo, I to Dara, to the say to Dara, I say to Dara, I say to Dara.
Neti matita, kobare, 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 kobare.
I let him
Neti matita, kakai kwe. Aye, kobare. Neti matita, kakai kwe. Aye, uwe. Matita, kakai kwe. Neti matita, I neti matita, I neti matita, kakai kwe. Aye, uwe. Aye, uwe.
I see them
Oh, aye, aye, uwe. Aye, uwe, aye. Matisaka, ay matisaka, matisaka. Anesi matisaka, nesi matisaka. Kobale, kobale, oh, uwe. Ay, kumati, kumu. Ay, 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 kuna ure. Kasa ure, ay, kasa ure. Kasa ure, kasa ure, ay, kasa ure. Ay, kasa ure, kasa ure, kasa ure, kasa ure.
Hey, tu, Dara, Neti serake ose wakai hinaramu. Hatani speaking.
Now the young one is speaking.
Taraturo seiti kabaku. Wakai temu. Before you see them, after you hear them, you know they existed. We call them first and then again they appear. Now the young one speaks. Welcome also the young and the youthful and the new and the innovative. To welcome the energy and the reborn.
And now we call the girls, call the ancestors. Welcome everybody. Welcome. I welcome everybody. Yeah. Now we take it to the khas. It's our ancestral call instrument. We take it to Nesindano. Our middle generation. Koma kaiku au sera suruhe. Koma kaiku ka koma rataihe.
The bow speaks of the cycle. It signifies the land from which we come, the water that ripples and runs and moves through all of us, and the depths to which we must go over and over. Rebirth, new, alive, but oh. The bow also signifies the movement of music through us. The bow is present. The bow is your connection to the sound. The bow is with you as you are with the bow. And before we continue, we recognize that we must move toward, forward, against, sometimes inward. Slowly, all we could call him was Taudabo, the one that gathers, those that gather, those that connect. Aymange kwenkwena. Visolela, lover of the world, and bringing us together. Nesi Matis,
Nesi Matis, Nesi Matis, Nesi Matis,
Nesi Matis.
now what? Nesi Matis. We are sending this song over the universe now. We are chanting across the universe. All our voices goes to Mother Earth. The giraffe is the tallest, and now I chant to the giraffe. Araran, I am a mother, Kame, Titaran, Uko, Ue, Aye, utare, oh, we call you great people of Mother Earth. We call you great spirits. We call you those who dwell on this earth. Now what? Sinesi mati, sinesi mati. Nesi mati, sinesi mati. Ayet nesi mati, sinesi mati. Ay nesi mati, sinesi mati. Nesi mati, sinesi mati. Weti abon wa weti. Oh, kai.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, okay. Where's he? If you are gathered and you are connected, you may also say where's he? You say. If I say okay, you say where's he? With a deep breath. Hey, where's he every time it falls to my heart? Where's he? Gan. Kay Ayos. The words for gratitude are more than one in our language, in the tongues of our mothers before us. But of course, the actions for gratitude are multitude. Gangans. So we have moved to also represent the elements and things that signify that which we have lost, because loss is not loss, it is often gained. And so we have those things that remind us of those before: the sounds, the water, the movement, the fire, and the earth, and that which comes from the fire and can be reborn. So we thank you for listening. We have been starting from grief, moving. We just want to say that we are very grateful that we are part of you and that we invite you into this whole activity. And I think it is at our hearts. The whistle was resting all the time on my heart. So we open up. We open up when we say, oh, hi. Oh, hi. Wesi abon on. Thank you. Let's take a look. So Hada will take a look if there's any commentary and questions around some of the things and help us to take a look at it. But we also just wanted to say, in case there was any curiosity around how we also came to connect into the Now What space, and to say a big thank you to the ones, to the few words of Stephanie and Ben, who brought us together. So thank you very much. We're also very grateful for that connection, and that we're able to give a bigger hug to this very beautiful group of people. So Hantani, do you?
Yes, from Jennifer Kamau, grateful for the ceremony that has brought tears to my eyes and love to my soul. From Peter Whitehouse, thank you for the vital reminder of our Indigenous past, which is so key for our mutual future. We need to go facilitate my anthropology course. Sorry to miss the second phase of the course. Thank you all. Looking forward to the great journey. Let's sing together for the heart. Yes, that's just a few.
So much for the messages, and we are giving it back to Ben so that he can take us further. I am grateful that we could be part of this team. And for the viewers, this is my first time that I'm performing in, what is it called? Digital. So thank you so much for allowing us to do this.
And this is also our debut as a little family unit doing something together. So
Yeah, thank you so much. Tinesimatis, nesimatis, tinesimatis, I nesimatis, tinesimatis, I nesimatis, I nesimatis, tinesimatis, I nesimatis, tinesimatis, I nesimatis, tinesimatis. So what now? Now what? I know what? I know what? I now what? I know what? In the future, now what? In the future, I know what I am. Now what I am, I know what we create now. What we create, I create now. What I know what. Tinesimati, 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 tinesimati. I know what. I know what I am. The world. Now what I am. The world. I know what I am. The world. And now what I know what I am. Now what. Working the land, now what? I working the land, now what? I working the land, I working the land, tinesimati, tinesimati. Working the land, tinesimati, nesimati. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Visalela, Nesindanu, Hatani, and one more young person there whose name I didn't get. That was amazing.
So much gratitude, so much joy. You've done it again, Mama Visalela and your family. You've built the bridge from loss to transformational optimism, potential. I could feel it in every part of my body, and what a joy to witness the family generations coming together, to play together, to be truthful together. That in itself feels like a glorious message of unity for all of us. I'm so grateful to you, Mama Visalela, Nesindanu, Hatani, and all who are participating. We need the name of the other young one who was with us. Visalela, can you, or Nesindanu, can you tell us the name of the other young person who was with us?
How Taco, it's how Taco, we gather, we came again together. How Taco.
the click is the one that you do with the front part of the tongue, but how Taco, we have gathered.
Looking forward. Thank you so much, Mama Visalela, Nesindano, and family. My sketch. Looking forward to me on the journey.
How Taco. Please put them.
So we have gathered, and I understand that Hatani's name translates as the one who stays. Is that correct?
One who has stayed.
Who remains, yeah.
She remains.
I will remain here.
And
So
then
we gather and we remain.
Titanda Konesintano.
So Dandakos Nesindano is basically my name, just translates to victory, but it's also more towards the feminine side. So Nesindano, the prefix Ne is indicative of
of the woman, and Sindano is victory, and it is now the idea of the victory or the reclaiming of the woman's power. Yeah.
Beautiful, auspicious. And Visalela, what does your name mean?
My name means I love the world. My dad gave it to me. At birth, he lifted me up and said, "Oh no, I love this world for giving me this girl." Yeah, so this little bundle was called Visolela, da Sole. Yeah, yeah, comes from Portuguese. And then how the God,
He
you
would
can
like to
say
say his name himself, just to be clear.
How Dago?
we gathered again. Yeah. Yeah. So what now presents the crew of the world. The story goes like this. We love the world, we are gathering, and we will stay in victory. That's us. Thank you.
Thank you. So I hear those words and I'm thinking, we can't take a break now and leave this space. That just seems all wrong.
Absolutely.
And but I do have an idea that our little hosting team might want to have a conversation about what we offer next. And so my thought was we could move everyone on the call into small groups and people could have a chance to meet one another and connect and share a few words about what they've witnessed while our group has the conversation about where we go in the remaining time. That sound good? All right, just give me a moment then to set up the group.
It's an incredible feeling to cry and to not need to know why I cry, to just feel and to let it, to witness what emerges without needing to put a word or interpreting, just feeling, so much feeling. Thank you.
Yeah. Group's not about that. We group matic.
So now we can group.
Okay, wait, I just need to find Lily Rakia. And then we'll be set to go. You'll be in groups of 3, 4, some kind of depends. Oh, there's a 2. We can't have 2. Well, we could, but so hopefully everyone will stick around. If you're having any issues, you can request help from the host. That's me in the bottom right corner of your Zoom screen. You will see that, and we'll go into these groups for maybe 10 minutes. So you'll be sent directly in there. You will see a little clock with a 9-minute countdown in the top, I think left-hand corner, maybe right of your screen. And then when that gets to 0, you'll have 1 more minute together. You'll see a little box pop up saying 1 more minute and a button saying return to main room, but don't click it. Stay in your groups for that final minute to thank one another and share some of the gifts, name some of the gifts you received in your time. So we'll see you back here in the main room in 10 minutes. Here we go. Oh wait, there's 2 of you, Visi, huh? I've got to move you both.
of sound and
Mm.
And it's hard, it's not easy. I just want to make sure that you understand, the dream, the vision being translated into being a business and to the real world, like here and now, and Greek government and taxes. You have a really almost like a free fall, because you are somewhere in another sphere, and all of a sudden, the Greek government comes and says, "Excuse me, you have a company, you need to pay me money." So I'm trying to juggle those two and find inner balance.
I love that you're busy making miracles, Cristiano. I forgot to turn the recording back on, and I felt like it would be strange because you thought you were in a breakout for me to start it up, and then you were saying such wonderful words, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we have to get to this. So maybe we're all here making some miracles together in this time. This latest gathering of Now What that will continue through November 20th. And some of you, this may be the only time we see you. And there'll be many more people showing up here and there. Some of you may be quite active for the entire period. But this is our opening. This is our time of welcome, of perhaps imagining or offering blessings and prayers for whatever miracles might take place. I feel like we've had a small one already, maybe not so small. I was looking at many of the words that you all have written. Each person who registers, I've actually been manually transferring what you've written when you sign up for Now What, and not everybody has who shows up on this call. We'll talk about that later, but if you do, I take those words and I move them into another database, and many of you are choosing to be on the Now What network map, where those words are also captured if you choose to have them be visible there. And I thought reading some of these would be a nice way to anoint the space. And then I thought, well, hearing your voices, answering these questions might be even better. We can read them anytime. But there are three questions in particular that we ask in the registration that I'm just loving reading the answers to. So maybe I'll just pose those questions into the space here, and whoever wants to speak in response can do so, and try to be brief so we can hear a number of your voices. We'll start with this one. Why is it important for you to participate in Now What?
Are we supposed to be answering? Can we go ahead? Okay, for me personally, as I said, I met Now What when I was doing my World Cafe. I tried first time to come and visit, and then I realized that I need a space where I am accepted, a space of quietness and inwards, because I am go, go, go. And all of a sudden, when I am here, I'm in a totally different environment and I'm exploring possibilities. So my why is because I really want very peacefully and very inclusively be part and give also to another group that is not my everyday reality. And of course, open invitation and then offering to contribute. So to me, the back and forth and weaving with all the other cultures is very important.
Thank you, Cristiana. So you can just unmute yourself, and if you also want to start with your name and where you're calling from, that's fine.
Well, I'll speak since
My
no
name-
one else is jumping in, but if somebody else wants to speak, I'll wait.
I could speak, Stephanie.
Okay, great. Go for it.
My name's Lisa, and I'm in Portugal. And I feel like I'm ready to be of service. And so I was drawn to participate in this group to make connections with people and find a way to begin to do that. Thank you.
I'm very happy to see you here, Lisa. And
Thank you, Stephanie.
can't wait for what you bring to Now What. And Now What, I'm Stephanie, of course, in rural Oregon, in the land of the Multnomah, who allow me to be here and send that welcoming to me through the ancient forest. And Now What is growing in its importance to me. It began in a different kind of context as a way to launch climate change and consciousness. And now what it has become is a testing ground for some of my systemic change ideas that I feel, for a variety of reasons, some tentativeness about laying out, some perhaps even fear that these ideas will be ridiculed. And having just been with Mama Visalela, who carried this message of confidence and conviction in this transformation of grief, which is exactly what coming into that space of being able to present my ideas and let them have a trial run in the community of Now What that Ben has created without very many rules, but there is a rule that I always feel of deep listening and permission and hearing everyone and inclusivity. And those very soft rules really make it possible to develop confidence and conviction, which people might be surprised that I struggle with that, but I have no problem transparently revealing that I struggle with that every day. And so I find Now What is a place to trial run ideas and see where they go. There's an emergent quality to the Now What space that allows ideas to evolve and develop. And I feel that people who have developing emergent ideas and want to contribute need that kind of space. So that's why Now What is important to me personally.
I can speak. My name is Aviva Perlo and I'm in Philadelphia. And I wish I could see you all. I'm on my phone, but so I don't know yet what all, I've heard about Oct-Nov many times, and Ben and his family are very special to me for many decades. And Helen, his mother, who's on the call. I can just speak to right now, today, so far, what now has, how it's been important to me. Number one was that I came in late and I was right before watching the live coverage of the Senate nomination of Amy, what's her name? And I came into this and I saw African women in a circle in their traditional garb, loving and laughing and hugging the child. Just so much love from what I imagined to be the mother to the child. And it was like, I just had this, part of this is just where I'm at in my life. And I shared this in my small group and they were so kind to receive it. What does it mean to like love and circle and receive and not have to be in an ugly fight, And what is it? I kept like, for a minute, I was like, wow, is this real? This what now thing, they're just loving and hugging and wearing their traditional garb and feeling okay about who they are. Like, should I get out of this and go back to the one that was, the warrior thing? And so that was the first thing that What Now gave me today. And then I decided, wow, there's all this amazing stuff happening on the call. I should really get dressed. So then What Now helped me get dressed today. And it's a profound thing to say, look, I'm showing up, and here I am. Maybe I came a little late and a little messy and a little this and a doubtful, and I had all my whatever, but I'm here. And so thank you, Ben, and thank you, What Now, and everyone who's holding the call for also doing that. Going forward, I don't know what all I'm looking forward to it. I would love to give and receive and be in circle and try to feel the goodness more and let it in. So thank you.
I'd like to speak. So I'm going to say something that's similar to what Stephanie said, where Now What has been a kind of home, a kind of feeling of tribe for me, a place to experiment for sure, a place to step in and offer something in a way that I hadn't offered it before. I did this during the last Now What session. I've been involved for maybe 3 cycles or so, I think. And I got a chance to share a story that I had been writing and sing it out loud and get people to play and connect. And it made me feel so good that something I had not fully offered yet had found a home, and that it was received as medicine. And it made me feel so good, like I'm on my path, like all the struggle that I've been going through makes sense, So I'm very thankful for this space to do that. And I'm excited about the way it's just been opened. It was so beautiful. So the next 6 weeks should be very interesting. And what am I offering? My presence. I'm also going to be offering the prophecy again. I'm going to be offering empathy circles. I'm going to be offering something around storytelling, like a storytelling circle as well, in collaboration with someone named Anita. And I'm excited about that. And hopefully, I echo what Stephanie said. I mean, confidence comes for me from practice and really doing things, stepping in constantly, and then I feel confident. But mostly I have a struggle with it, And one thing that I'd like to put out there is maybe, I have a vision of creating like a monthly play day that would gather people and create space for people, not only to play in new ways, but to stop and listen and connect intentionally across perceived differences and boundaries. And that could be set up as a recurring thing over time, because we're going to need some time to heal things. It's going to take some time. So that's what's up for me. So thank you. Thank you. Now what?
Thank you, Rick.
I'd like to step in and echo this theme. This is Leslie Meehan in the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. I want to thank and bless Ben for being the birth papa of Now What. We've been collaborating in another safe space for emergent co-creativity called the Thriving Resilient Communities Collaboratory for many years now. And so I know what people mean, because I have experienced too how important it is to have, a community of big-hearted, big-minded folks to practice with and experiment with. Has been so important for me. And I look forward to having Now What be a space for that. And I think what's special about Now What to me is that it's the global community of network weavers. It's a slightly different group than the Thriving Resilient Communities Collaboratory group. And I think this time is really important to be holding this sacred, courageous, determined place through the election cycle specifically, and starting with the indigenous, wise women who started this ceremoniously this time, is created this beautiful open hearth fire for us to gather around in these challenging, scary days. So thank you.
So I'll jump in. I'm Suzanne Jones, and I'm in the Pacific Northwest, up near Seattle, across the water from Seattle. And I guess this will be my fifth Now What edition. I didn't realize it. But when I first I've known Ben since Occupy days. I was teaching compassionate listening to Occupy movement people and met Ben in that. So I've known him for a while. But when I first received the invitation to come to Now What, I was really overwhelmed with working locally with my transition town things. So I kind of moved into Now What gradually, a little more with each edition. And I've just found so much hope here on Now What, hearing people from all around the world worried about the same things I'm worried about, wanting to make things better, wanting to really hear one another. And so, I'll be participating a lot more in this edition than I have before. I'll be also doing some empathy circles with Rick, and hopefully, I've been working for 25 years with nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg's thing. So eventually, hopefully, I will be offering sort of compassionate tools workshop, how to use MVC effectively. The main goal of MVC is to connect, to make a connection with another person, and that's best done by listening to one another, what one another really has to say. So I'm excited about getting more involved. I have gotten all kinds of new tech skills as a result of trying to be involved with Now What. So I'm getting a lot of experience and a lot of wonderful connection. Thank you.
I'll courageously jump in. Now What is really important to me, not only because I feel the honor of having been a part of organizing this opening ceremony, and at the time where I've allowed to, I've kind of surrendered, I've let go of a lot of what I thought I had to do to make space for what I want to do. And I'm so grateful that what has come through today is this notion of courage and of conviction, but not courage. I say courage, confidence, but because my grandmother always tells me to make courage. And I find that and confidence are definitely connected. But the confidence that I'm mustering now is because I've been telling Ben for a while what I would like to share, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm just doing it verbally now, and hopefully in written as a blog post, so that this can evolve. But Christina, when you shared nature pays you, then it got me thinking, oh yes, there is interest in this. I've been very, when I say I let go of a lot. I left a PhD in economics 4 years ago, and I'm very curious about reinventing or reimagining how what it means, what currency means, broaden our notion of money. And so I was always interested in this gift economy that Now What is about. And so I want to have open conversations about that and make it explicit, so that together we really dig into it, and so that it can emerge what it means, so that we better understand together and we have shared understanding of what it is that we're doing how are we making visible the flow of gifts, but also what we're creating that's emerging. It's not only flowing, but it's also accumulating, and so I want to find all kinds of words, and I feel so overwhelmed that I'm having a hard time in seeing all the faces. So that's one. Also, I've been very into dream work. So that's another thing that I would love to talk about, because it's part of, and I'm hearing about narratives and new narratives. And I think that's another one that would be really fun. So using dream work to live our biggest dreams and be there for each other in interpreting what our subconscious is wanting for us to hear. So dream work and currency are two things that I want to offer. And oh, Helen, yes, Helen shared a documentary about currency, so maybe we can have a watch party as well. So yeah, so all kinds of fun things. So thank you for Visolela for the pushing the courage and not needing for it to come out perfectly. I think that perfectionism definitely gets in my way, and loving how it didn't come out perfectly, but I have a sense that you got what I'm trying to say, and that together, by the end of it, probably I'll have a much more fluent way of sharing it. And part of me not having the words is because I don't talk about it, and I feel safe here to talk about it. So thank you. And I'm excited for us to talk a lot so that we can be more confident about what we have to say with people who might not whom we might not feel safe right now talking about it, but together we can feel safer building more bridges and so that it can spread that way. So thank you. This is why now it is important to me. Part of it, I think it's infinite and unfolding.
So I'm Alexia from Knoxville, Tennessee. I joined Now What last spring when COVID started, and we were introduced by Luis Gallardo from World Happiness Fest. We had a joint meeting with Ben, and it was very helpful for me during the COVID shutdown, just to have a safe space to receive and give support. And I enjoyed the cafes, I enjoyed the Earth Day, and I enjoyed the parties. So I hope everybody can lay aside the chaos and the stress and how serious these times are and the grief, because we've all experienced loss and change, and come to the parties and also experience the joy. And something that we're developing is finding our roots, that we all belong, and it's okay that we have differences and that we think differently. Even if we think, oh, we're in the same classification, we're going to have different viewpoints, and that's all okay. And it's just coming together and having a sense of belonging, because like creating a space of belonging for the world to know you're not alone. The statistics of loneliness are very high. It's about 11% worldwide, people reporting in the World Happiness Report, I have no one who cares for me or that I can depend on. And that leads to early deaths and dementia and health problems. According to studies, loneliness kills. And so we're developing the human library, and it's something that we hope to have on the cafe menu for us to come in and check out one another and hear one another's stories. So I'm really excited to be part of this edition.
Well, I could jump in here. My name is Galen. I'm really grateful to be here with you all. I'm talking to you at the moment from Washington, D.C. I'm traveling through, and I'm not generally here. And it's a bit meaningful for me. On Indigenous Peoples Day, I'm really grateful to share this time and space with you all here in this way. And what means to me, I've been sort of flirting with participating more fully the past couple of rounds since I've known about it, and I'm grateful to be more of a part of it this round. And you know, I'm passionate about the regenerative movement, and this is what I'm feeling in this space with you all, hearing such lovely resonant thoughts and intentions and desires. And you know, I feel like this time is really about a collective evolution where there's tremendous learning that's happening on an individual level and on a collective level, which are, in my view, really distinct processes. And that's what why now what is important to me, that we gather together and share our individual learning processes so that we can coalesce in a collective learning process, and we can learn to better cooperate on managing our commons. And I like to conceptualize our cultures, our social spheres, the noosphere, the cultural landscape that we all live in, is part of the commons that we need to cooperate on managing. And so I'm really passionate to bring that lens into things, and participate in this beautiful sort of co-creation of a new world, of a better way for diverse cultures to cooperate together in creating a regenerative civilization. And so I'm really grateful to be here with you all. I'll pass it back there.
Thank you so much, Galen, and everyone. I do want to take a bit of time to do just a quick little, I don't know, tour of some things that are, you know, that will help you in kind of finding your own way through the Now What journey that we're going on collectively. But if someone has a burning desire to answer again the question of why it is important for you to participate in this edition, we want to hear, you know, one or two more of those voices. We have time for that. We'll close with a poem from Nesindanu on confidence, I'm told. So we need to make sure we have time for that too.
I also just want to contribute before it is for me now what is something that I am able to translate into my native tongue. And you know how it happens, why I'm interested is it's a very expressive way in my native tongue to say now what. If you want to say now what, you put your hands onto your hips and you stand and you say Sinesimadis. And that is one of the triggers that made me to want to be there. And it opens for me something like a spider web, because I am standing there in the middle, like the spider, and saying, now what? And it depends on me where to touch, because the spider waits for something to touch that web, and then it moves. And for me, that is why I thought this is such an open space. I don't know it yet, but I feel it is such an open space, like Donia says, makes me feel free to venture into. And that's why I am here. It also, in my country after COVID, it is something that I was saying, okay, now we are done with this COVID. Now, what now must we do now? So now what comes at that question moment in my life and question moment in my country? And I'm sure that I will have something from it. Thank you so much once more for the opportunity for opening my spider web. Thanks.
Thank you, Mama Visalela. Okay. Yeah, so let me just take a few minutes to I think I'm going to show you around the Now What website, and as I do that, I'll be able to mention a few things to help kind of orient and guide you. So I will share my screen. This is the home page, nowwhat2020.com. where you're welcome to this global gathering and gift economy for collectively navigating the complexity of our times in order to support action, build community, foster healing, and unleash generosity. You can find out more about kind of the underlying vision or goals or the possibility space really that we're entering into in Now What. If you read this declaration of possibility under the About tab here that expands a bit on those ideas. Registering is not necessary, but is a helpful thing to do. And I'll show you in a minute how, if you do that, you can choose also to be on the Now What network map. We're right now on the main Zoom line, and that's where a lot of what happens takes place. So you can just save this link and come back here for some of a lot of the calls that are kind of collective spaces. We'll go over to this call info tab in a minute to learn more about that. And then again, there's a link to this idea of the gift economy, which with Dunya's support, and I think a small circle of us, forming, that we don't yet know fully who will be in, but we're really looking to activate that element. So up until now, what has very much been about having lots of conversations and gathering in small groups, in large groups, in person, on Zoom. We had 146 Zoom calls the last time we gathered in March and April. An in-person gathering wasn't so much of an option then. Maybe it will be more of one this time in multiple small groups and also in online spaces. There's a vision that Now What conversation, the energy can travel to wherever people are gathering online, in Facebook groups, in forums, in communities on platforms like Mighty Networks that have popped up for other kinds of gatherings and now are looking for ways to continue, staying relevant for people. So there's a whole array of technologies that are summarized on this homepage that we use, and a set of different intentions, that this is a place to grow relationships, learn, find support for projects, new opportunities, personal support, be of service. I think we heard a lot of that in the voices just now. There's links to a lot of the different technology right here too. And I think I'm going to jump right now to one of them, the Team Up calendar. So this calendar tool is a key way for you to navigate, and you can get to it here from Team Up, and also if you go to the call info and calendar page, you'll find it. So let's go there next. Let's try that again. So there are three main types of calls that we gather for. We're in one of the opening gathering call, part of our ceremonial and celebration space. And there are also weekly party calls on, my time is Thursday night and Friday morning. Here are the UTC times, and we'll see in the calendar in a second how you can find the times in your own time zone. You've also heard, and we'll have closing gatherings that are still being planned, at least one, and a group coming together around that also. And then there are the cafes that you may have heard mention of. I think Alexia talked about doing the human library as part of the activity in the cafe. So these are regular calls that happen 4 times a week to come together and connect, and also to initiate conversations that you want to have or activities that you want to participate with. And those are back here on this same Zoom line. And we heard about open space. just now from Mama Visalela, and how this feels like an open space. And indeed, there's a process known as open space technology that this takes its inspiration from. And that usually happens in person, although you see it happening virtually now, but over a short period of time. We're doing it for essentially 6 weeks. So there's an invitation to anyone who wants to initiate a conversation. That's the basis of an open space process, is that everyone who comes together builds the agenda for their time together as a collective endeavor, and then is free to move around within that, wherever you're contributing and finding value or learning. And so we do that here too, with one small request, that if you want to put something onto the calendar, and it can be any kind of a conversation you want. We also have these special categories of field trips and watch parties. We just heard mention of the idea of watching a film together and then talking about it. Tonight, there's going to be one, tonight here on the US East Coast, in about 5 hours, there's a group gathering to watch a film called 100 Years that's about the struggles and challenges of Indigenous peoples. The invitation is to watch that film ahead of time and then come to this 1 hour conversation, not being organized by us. So it's a field trip to something that someone else is doing, a group called, I think, Sacred, I'm not sure, we'll look at it in a second. And then we have engagement streams, which are ongoing offerings that happen maybe on a weekly rhythm or others, and often by a group or an organization. If you scroll down a bit, then you come to the calendar, which you can also click here to pop out into a browser window, and it works well on a phone or tablet as well. And you can click on each of these. So here's the watch party I mentioned tonight from Sacred Lands. That's the name of the group, and a bit about that's here. And you can, there may be a Zoom link in some of these, or there's an RSVP link. In this case, you would email Sacred Lands to get the information for the call. And you can also have this whole calendar moved into your own. And I'll be putting up a short little how-to video about the calendar. I just wanted to share that. And I think that's, let's see, is there something else I ought to say? Yes, the invitations blog is another really important tool that we have at our disposal. And so you heard from Alexia earlier on the call, and she has a blog post up about not just the human library, but some of the other work that she's doing around a framework for cultural belonging. From what if to what is to what if is an aligned initiative coming from the transition movement, and there's an invitation for engagement there, and a call, another sort of field trip call that you're invited to go on. That's this Wednesday. Uri Noimera was on the call today. I think we saw him in the chat, but maybe didn't hear his voice. But he's offering some regular sessions called Unlocking a New Story. And so in each of these, you can click here and find out more. There's also a welcome post that I put up the other day that says a bit more about some of the background and the impulses and the context for being here. And you can find more about the 4 fabulous Indigenous women that blessed us with the ceremony today in the opening gathering post. And I might be updating that too with some particular invitations or requests that they have for support in their work. So you can sometimes come back to these as well. The only other thing I'll mention, I'm just gonna, before we go for the poem, some of you might like the platform Slack. So if you wanted to be part of really organizing and getting active in connecting with things, our Slack workspace is a good place to do that. And finally, I do want to just mention the Now What Collective. So if you go here, this is where you also find a link to the network map. But if you want to be part of organizing and hosting, and you want to put calls onto the schedule together, becoming a member of the collective is my invitation to you. And that starts with requesting a personal invitation conversation with me or other members of the collective. And you can see the current list right here. And this will probably grow from the 14 or so that you see now to perhaps 50 or more by the time we're done. There's an invitation that describes more of this at the bottom of that page. So I didn't get to the network map, that's okay. There's lots more. It's a bit of a labyrinth. It's okay to get lost, to get a little overwhelmed. We're always here in different ways to support you, including at the cafes when you can get more, ask questions and get more of an orientation. So with that, I want to bring it back over to Visalela and Nesendanu and Hatani and invite a closing poem from Nesendanu. You need to unmute.
Okay.
Tata Ugani Huriba Masiraka. I come to the mountain, I reach it with confidence. I come to the water, I swim with conviction. Whatever moves, whatever breathes, have faith that you can carry. Whatever comes, I will love, understand, do it with confidence. What may pull, what goes through, receive it with confidence. I see, oh, as I rise into the new existence, I see the power of the mother and the mothers before me. I look up to them and I see their confidence, conviction, embracing, confidence. I think that's the emerging part.
That's the emergence. So, yeah.
Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's how we are closing our opening and our ceremony. And I have no words, really. I have no words. I'm humbled, and my gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I also just want to say that there's I feel like an opening for many things. I mean, our house and our space and how we sort of connect is always one that is really marred by movement. Our surname even means Namise. This is this continuous movement that you see that happens in a whirlwind or in a twister. To Nami is to continue to continuously nod, to continuously. So I think existing once again with you all and kind of still being able to emerge in this different way and to find this kind of emergence with Mawat is proving, I think, to be something that is bringing another layer of confidence and I think I'm very grateful for it. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Leila, Nisindanu, Hatani, Lily, Rakia, Dunya, Stephanie, and all of you who joined us today. Why don't we unmute and say, what were the words? There was a response Visalela, that it was
If you say
2 words.
Hochai. If I say Hochai, you say Wesi.
Wesi.
Hochai.
Wesi.
Yes.
Oh, hi.
Hochai. Wesi. Wesi. I hear you. When I call out Hochai, I'm calling to you. Are you with me? And you just say, we hear you. Wesi. Wesi. And you can also say Hochai, and we can say Wesi.
Hochai.
Wesi abonwa. Wesi. Wesi abonwa.
And how did we say now what? How did we say now what?
Nesimatis.
First of all, you have to stand up, right?
Nesimatis. And the hands are on the hips now. Nesimatis. I Nesimati. And Nesimati. Yeah. Nesimatis.
Nesimati.
Nesimatis. 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 Matisa mire nesi.
Nesimati.
Nesimatis. You can't say Nesimatis like this. Nesimatis.
The confidence, you need the attitude.
The attitude.
Nesimatis.
Okay, Nesimatis. You can ask even the trees and the flowers and the grass and the people. Nesimatis. Edo. Nesimatis.